Food tastes absolutely delicious. I know I told this to Bianca before. How many people say, the food in this retreat is absolutely delicious. Bianca, you should write a cookbook. But with the best respects to you, Bianca, it's not you. It's the mindfulness. After some mindfulness, you can taste so much more in the food which is cooked. Everything gets delicious at the end of a meditation retreat. I knew that the first meditation retreat I did was in a boarding house in England. And this was boarding house cooks. This was, when it gets to chefs, this is the lowest of the low, who can't get a job anywhere else, get a job cooking food for impoverished students. We had no choice. And absolutely honest, I remember this, when I booked in for this retreat when I was only about 19, I thought, maybe I should get sandwiches. Because boarding house, you all know that English food in those days was already pretty bad. It was meat and 2 veg usually, and this was supposed to be vegetarian. So everything was all boiled. Boiled and boiled and boiled until there was no taste left at all. And that's the food I was going to eat for 9 days. And I thought, oh God, this is going to be terrible. But the food was absolutely delicious. And that really shocked me. Why is boarding house food, usually for students, why is it so delicious? I never realized at the time. It's only much later I realized that when your mindfulness starts to grow strong, everything tastes delicious. I really mean that. If your meditation starts to take off here, Bianca is like, she is Michelin grade 5 chef. Wow, delicious. Or whoever else comes and brings the food. This is incredible food. Wow, I've never tasted such delicious food. But if you have the same food, in the middle of the week when you've been working, same food but different mind. So what happens when the mindfulness starts to really grow strong, you're aware of so much more, and what you're aware of is richer. The colors are deeper, the tastes are more delicious, and even the sound of the birds, wow, you can hear so much of them. This is the nature of the development of mindfulness. And I have to mention this because this is a good sign that your meditation is starting to take off. Your awareness is getting stronger and stronger. You are literally becoming more awake, more alive. And that's a very wonderful state to be in. And at this point, I mention its importance on this path of Buddhism because the word Buddha, it does not really mean the enlightened one. That's a word which people have got to use for a Buddha. But it comes from the Pali word bujati, which means literally to wake up. And so when they call the Buddha the awakened one, that's etymologically far more accurate. The one who's really awake. And what does that mean? As your mindfulness starts to increase, you understand what it means. Right now you're asleep. But you're so used to this state, you think, oh, this is normal, this is awake. But once you start to get into meditation and the mindfulness starts to go strong, now you're waking up. Wow, now you're really awake, now you're alive. And that is part of what happens in meditation. So if you're going to be able to see what's going on in your mind and understand it, you can ask your mind, how do you feel? But you can't really hear what it says. But once your mindfulness is incredibly strong, wow, you can see everything which is going on in this thing you call your mind. Any little defilements, anything which is harming it, hurting it, you can see it straight away and let it go. So easy to do. Not only that, because your mind starts to increase in its mindfulness, the byproduct, what I call the free gift in the cornflakes packet, is happiness and bliss. Weird, but true. Standard story, say it every time, but maybe there's a few of you who've been here quite often, you may try this out. It was about 7 or 8 years living at monastery, Bodhinyana monastery. For the first time, I walked up the hill from the bottom of the road to monastery. Now you may think that why 7 years? Because it's so hard for a monk to walk. Even trying to walk from here back to Bodhinyana Monastery, people come and say, Ajahn Brahm, I'll give you a ride. I say, no, I want to walk, but I want to give you a lift. Please let me give you a lift. You're not allowed to walk when you become a senior monk. It's like, I feel like I'm selfish and not giving the opportunity to people to make good karma. That's why I'm fat. It's your fault, not mine. But anyway, I managed to get out of the car and walk. And actually, you were telling yesterday about stories of monks in the time of the Buddha. This is one of Ajahn Chah's friends. This is one of those freaky stories. What was his name? Lumpur Dun, I think it was. Anyway, don't remember his name totally, but he was in a car being driven back to the monastery in the village, and they got to maybe about 4 or 5 kilometers away, and he said, I want to walk the rest of the way. They said, no, venerable sir, we'll drive you. He said, I want to walk the rest of the way. No, you don't need to. We will drive you. And then the car broke down and stopped. He said, I told you I want to walk. And he got out of the car and walked. Because some of these monks could stop the engines of cars. And they ask you twice, the third time your car breaks down. And that is also why when Ajahn Chah, we went to England, and some Thai people, he told me this, some Thai people, as soon as he was on Thai Airways, because he had to go Thai Airways, he was a senior Thai monk, as soon as he went on Thai Airways, some of the people said, Ajahn Chah, please be careful, do not think of the engine, do not make the engine stop. They actually asked him that. Totally superstitious. But then actually, his story was, there was an emergency as they were coming out to land in Heathrow. The landing gear never went down. I don't know if you know this story. Landing gear never went down. And they were trying their best to get it going. And they got so far as to spray foam on the runway for Ajahn Chah's plane. I mean, it was really serious. And of course, all the people were coming up, you're a holy monk, Ajahn Chah, please pray, help us, help us. And they all came up to him asking him to do praying and do his meditation and all that sort of stuff. And then it wasn't actually him. They managed to fix a problem, and the landing gear came down, they landed safely. And then Ajahn Chah told the monk with him, he said, see, no gratitude at all. Now we're safe. They're all rushing to get out, and they're not looking at me anymore. They're looking at the pretty flight attendants. They don't look at me anymore. It's only when they're in trouble are they concerned about monks. But anyway, that's the old story of Ajahn Chah. But when you're aware and mindful that what actually happens, like walking up the hillside there, I could not recognize that hillside. It was a totally different scenery. And I've been living here 7 years, up and down the road, looking through the car. It was different. And that was shocking. I thought I was aware of the road on which I'd lived for 7 years. But I wasn't. It was different. I stopped, stood perfectly still, and just stared in disbelief. And then the roadside changed again. And it became so beautiful. And because I was still, I could see so much more. I could see details which I'd never thought existed, and it all became so incredibly beautiful. And that was the experience I had of, and I used that to understand what mindfulness is and the importance of stillness. Because if you're looking through the window of a speeding car and you think that you see what's out there, you don't see what's out there. You only see a fraction of it. Literally, when the light hits the back of your eye, it's a chemical reaction, first of all, on the retina. The reaction doesn't have time to finish before another scene comes up, dislodges the first, and then another vision, another image. And the images flow so fast, not one is perfectly formed. And that's why you look through the window of a speeding car. And it's not really speeding that much. It's only about 60 kilometers an hour up that road, if that. And you think you see, but you're only seeing a fraction there. And even the colors, they're not formed, they're not fully developed. When you walk, you're going slower. the images have more time to establish themselves in the back of your eye. The mind has more time to figure out what's going on there, but it's not enough because you're walking, another image comes up and another image. But when you're standing perfectly still, that's incredible. The image forming on your eye has all the time it needs to fully form. So all the details start to emerge. Every single blade of grass, you can see it, instead of just this swathe of green. And every little blade of grass has a different color to it. You can see that. And the colors, this was the amazing thing, the colors were incredibly deep. The greens were more green than I'd seen before. The blues were very deep blue. Why? Because now they had time to really register their truth, if you like, in your eyesight. And my mind had all the time it needed to enjoy and explore it. That's a very wonderful simile for mindfulness. If you're going too fast, your mindfulness doesn't see what's out there. It misses too much. The problem is you think you see. I assumed I knew that roadside, Kingsby Drive. 7 years I've been up and down there. But when I went slow and I stopped, then I could really see it. A place which I thought I knew, I realized I didn't. When I stopped, was still, then it emerged what's really out there. And the free gift in the cornflakes packet, everything looks so incredibly beautiful. That is what happens with mindfulness. As you meditate more and more on this retreat, not only do you see more about yourself, taste more of the food, see more stars at night time, just see more detail of the clouds as they just go across the sky. You just see more into the stupas and the incredible rich greyness of the stone. That's the same stone as from Borobudur. It's the same lava stone which they built the great monument in the center of Java. But if you ever go up to that stupa, please don't reach inside to touch the Buddha statue. Because I was told, and you can see this in the real Borobudur image in Java, that young men and young women, they climb up to the Borobudur temple in the middle of Java, to the very top. And it is the tradition, it is the myth for generations, that if you can reach inside in those little holes in the stupa and touch the Buddha statue inside, then you will find true love. So all these young men and girls were going up there trying to touch the Buddha statue inside. If I ever see any of you doing that, I'm going to tell your wife. I'm going to tell your husband. Some of you are going to try it now, I know. But anyhow, you see the richness in the stone, because this is what happens. After a while, the mind really improves its awareness. And what you see becomes beautiful. And so this is where the piti sukha, the happiness, comes from. As the mindfulness develops, its cause is stillness. That's the cause of mindfulness. It's not effort. You try to be mindful, and you ought to be destroying its power. Be still, relax, let go, make peace, be kind, be gentle, right intention. And the mindfulness starts to get very strong. Keep your precepts. And once the mindfulness starts to get very strong, then meditation is so easy. You're sitting down there, you can see what the mind's up to. You catch everything, which means like you've got CCTV cameras in every part of your mind. You can't get away with anything, which means that you can stop things which are going to cause you difficulty and problems and suffering. You can stop that. You just see the things that when I crave for something, when I want something, you can see it. I'm disturbing my mind. You can see the mind getting agitated when you want something. Even wanting something good agitates the mind. You see that because your mindfulness is strong. And when you let it go, just allow it to be, your mind gets very, very still. Mindfulness increases. You're getting peace. Peace leads to more stillness. Stillness leads to more mindfulness. More mindfulness leads to more happiness, leads to more insight, more understanding. This is the path we're taking. Stillness, empowering your awareness, empowering your happiness, allowing insights to happen. The ordinary insights of understanding what's out there in the valley on Kingsbury Drive, yeah, that's interesting to know. But imagine you do that on your mind. This mind you've been living with for so many years, do you really understand it yet? For 7 years, I never understood Kingsbury Drive until I got out the car, walked, and then stood perfectly still. Your mind, I don't know how old you are, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Now you get out of the car, you walk, and then you stand perfectly still. And for the first time, you can see this thing you call your mind. See how it works. See its detail. And it's always beautiful. It's happy. Which is one of the reasons why, when a person truly meditates, their happiness increases. And this is one of the reasons I teach like this. And if you don't believe me, that I quote on every retreat the Dhammacchedya Sutra, the monuments to the Dhamma, it's called in Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, in the middle leg sayings of Majjhima Nikaya, where the king Pasenadi, he went to see the Buddha for the very last time. He was shortly to die. And he went into the Jetavana, the Jeta Grove monastery, and asked, is the Buddha in? He said, he's in his hut. But you know, you're the king. You know, if you knock on the door, he'll probably let you in. The same in me, even though I'm in my cave most of the time. If Queen Elizabeth knocks on the door, maybe I might let her in. But they're kings, so of course you let them in. And so as soon as he let the king in, there's this beautiful little scene of the king of Kosala, a very powerful being, just getting onto the floor and kissing the Buddha's feet. Not just once, but just smothering with kisses. And I said, what the heck are you up to? What are you doing? You're a king. And you know, he was expressing his absolute love and devotion to the Buddha. He said, I'm just so fortunate to have you as my teacher. And so close by. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he just had this amazing emotional attachment to the Buddha. And, you know, Buddha, okay, fair enough, but why do you like coming to this monastery? And that's when the king said, I love coming to the Jetavana monastery. I said, why? He said, because the monks in this monastery are always smiling and happy. And I often quote that because people think that monks should be miserable, that nuns should never smile at all, otherwise you're not a real nun. You should be serious, practicing, suffering. Ugh. And that's not what the Buddha said. Because the Buddha said, yes, great king, that's what you can expect when the monks are practicing their meditation properly and gaining insights. The Buddha was saying that this is a sign, the smile on people's faces, that your meditation is working and insights are arising. You are lessening suffering. Well done, carry on. Happiness is part of the path. And it's such an important part of the path. You can fake wisdom. You can come up and say incredible, profound things to me. And anyone can do that. But it's very hard to fake the smile and the happiness. So a lot of time when people come on interviews, which you're going to come up to this morning, and you tell me all your great meditations, I'm not going to be looking at your words. I'm going to be looking at your mouth. And if you say, I had the most amazing meditation today. It was incredible. I saw all these beautiful lights and you're not even smiling, then I think you are making that up. Go back and meditate again. But I said yesterday, people are smiling. I had this wonderful meditation. It was so lovely. That's a sign that your meditation is taking off. Well done, carry on. And you see that here. Sometimes you come in here and you see people sitting here for hours with a big silly smile on their face. And I see that, it's so cute. I say, yes, yes, carry on. And I see other people sitting here gritting their teeth. I'm going to beat my record. I'm going to do 2 hours today. I don't care how much it hurts. I'm going to beat this down. I'm going. And I say, oh, come on. You know, you're just creating suffering for yourself. That's not the path. And this is actually how I can see, because the happiness is important. Strong mindfulness, strong happiness always go together. That's how you can tell whether your mindfulness is increasing, whether the food starts to taste more delicious. The bed is softer. You know, the air is just more, I don't know what's the word for it, like delicious. It's more, you're more sensitive, you're more awake, you're more alive, you're here. And it's such a pleasant thing to be able to experience. And this is why this meditation retreat is pleasure. Sometimes people ask monks and nuns, why do you become a monk? You know, are you afraid of sex? You know, are you afraid of relationships? Are you weird? No, it's not what I'm a monk for. I'm a monk for pleasure. I'm in here for a good time. I'm a good time monk. Sex, yeah, been there, done that. That's nothing. The pleasures of meditation. The power of release. That is real pleasure. If you want to know pleasure, Nibbānang paramang sukhang. Nibbāna is the highest ecstasy. And it doesn't come in tablets. That gives a totally different idea about what meditation, what the spiritual life is all about. It's not doing penance. It's not thinking, oh, you poor monks, you know, you have to be celibate. That must be really tough. What are you talking about? This is bliss. This is happiness. This is joy beyond your wildest dreams. And I mean, that's true. It's beyond your wildest dreams. You can't imagine the happiness. And this is where it starts from. Your mindfulness starts to really take off. And when it does, just go for it. If you're happy, don't think, something must be wrong. I'm happy. Or don't feel guilty. I'm happy. I shouldn't be happy. There's too many people suffering in this world. I should go out and help people. It's wrong that I'm happy. You deserve to be happy. And it's just what happens. It's just part of the path. As awareness grows, then you see more. What you see is more beautiful. It's more happy. Easier to meditate. Imagine you get up in the morning. Imagine you get up in the morning. Another day of bliss. Wow. You can't wait to get up in the morning. 4 o'clock? Nah, I'm getting up at 3. Nah, 2 o'clock? Nah, 1:30. You can't wait to get up. You know, when you go on holidays, I don't know, it depends what holidays you go on, but do you ever go on a holiday and wake up in the morning, yes, I'm on holiday, I'm going to get out and go to the beach, I'm going to do this and do that, because you're really invigorated. That's what happens when you really get into meditation on a retreat. Meditating in the hall again, listening to Ajahn Brahm's old stories again. Oh, just the same old stuff. Oh, what did I do this for? I must be stupid. I must be crazy. But no, what happens is you really start to get into this. As the mindfulness increases, so does the happiness. As the happiness and mindfulness increases, so does the insight. As the insight increases, because you're more aware, you can meditate more and more deeply, and the whole thing just goes and goes and goes and gets you into very deep, powerful, blissful states of mind. That's what meditation is. And this is the power of mindfulness. But remember, perhaps the most important point of this talk, the cause of mindfulness. Making peace, being kind, being gentle. Being still. Not trying to be mindful, but letting mindfulness grow. It is another flower in the forest. You can't force it. Just look after it, and it grows pretty quickly. And you'll find that you have this beautiful meditation. All the little tricks of the trade which I teach you. You may have all of that information. As people in our modern world, we're information rich. We know everything. You know, you've read all the books, you've listened to all the talks. You probably know more about Buddhism than monks in the time of the Buddha knew. They would just go and hear one talk, or maybe 2 or 3 talks, and then that's all they would hear. You know the whole Tripitaka, and the commentaries, and all these great monks. I don't know how many great monks you've read the books of, and nuns now as well. Your information so rich, but you're still not enlightened. What's going on? It's because we just know so much, we do so little. And it's very simple to do. Just what I said last night. You know, it's only a couple of years ago I realized how profound the Emperor's 3 questions were. Now is the only time you ever have in the whole world, right now. And this thing in front of you, what you're aware of right now, it's the most valuable, most important, most precious thing in the world. So don't try and get rid of it to try and get something else. Don't think, I want jhanas, I want nimittas, I want something else. It means you're demeaning the mindfulness in this moment. When you give value and importance to whatever you're aware of right now, whatever it is, even ridiculous, stupid things, it's important. Because you give it importance, now you've established mindfulness. You're here. You're not trying to get rid of it. It's important. Even if it's a silly thought, even if it's sloth and torpor, whatever it is, it's important. It is the most important. And just be kind to it. Care for it. Simple, simple teaching. But that, quite frankly, that's enough to take you all the way into the jhanas, into all the enlightenment states. Now the most important time. The state in front of you right now, whatever it is. Even just hearing the crow sound. That's so important. Hearing someone bang the door. That's right now, that's the most important thing in the whole world for you. Don't try and get rid of it. Don't give it negativity. If it's happening now, it's the most important thing in the whole world. Which means you're now mindful, you're at peace with it. You're kind with it. Your meditation will take off. So simple. I didn't say that at the start, because if I did, I'd have nothing to talk about for the last hour. But that's the essence of mindfulness and the path of meditation. So there you go. So now you have enough information to get totally enlightened. So those of you enlightened, by tomorrow morning you don't have to come to the talk. Me neither. So they give me a nice easy day tomorrow. Okay, deal? You get enlightened by tomorrow morning, and then no more talks. In my dreams, Ajahn Brahm, in my dreams. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay.